beacon of sustainable small-scale mining on the African continent.
The sector provides employment to more than 1 million people directly and indirectly to over 4 million people. Minerals production from the sector also rose significantly from around 2% at the time of liberalization, that is in 1989, to an all-time high of 43.14% of the total production for gold in 2018. In 2020, the sector raked in more than $2 billion in forest earnings. Small-scale mining also feed the downstream, that's the jewelry industries, with the raw gold for value addition, thereby supporting the creation of opportunities locally. We of the association believe, and we believe firmly, that we can build on the progress made in the past 4 years, guided by the lessons learned together. The Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Mining is therefore ever ready to collaborate with the government and all key stakeholders to implement whatever policies and programs that will emanate from this dialogue to rid the small-scale mining industry of illegal activities and to improve sustainable small-scale mining.
Mining can create jobs, mining can improve livelihoods, and mining can generate wealth. But it cannot and must not do so at the expense of damaging the very environment that produces the riches. This is the time to help rejuvenate our land, the time to take a careful look at how we use the land, the time to revisit our farming and building practices, and yes, the time to address the issue of galamsey. Fellow Ghanaians, it is absolutely crucial that deliberations of this consultative dialogue be candid and devoid of partisanship or narrow parochial interests. Hopefully, at the end of the day, we should be able to build a broad-based national consensus around the necessity to stamp out the menace of illegal small-scale mining and the need to support and grow responsible small-scale mining.
I think you can do better. Another resounding round of applause. I don't want to cast on in the family say the more decono, winning call, the acadom, and I say, Semino, a bohobine. And then the who he has said, and Ishemwa say, a tota again. Near Corso, I won't crano. Near Shemukina Pana say, you are hoarding, you win him dear, you are Kumapa. Sampa, a bit to Sabia, a baboy na a boy chima. And Tiene, a Jia de Bahanino, and Yajia a Yakuapa. Now, Sunday President Kaino, Yemfa Party Semno and Tunching. Name here, say, and near my yami at their channel, Refa Quampasso, Ama Yenyahuska, Yenyahum and Faso. Your Majesty, I would like to recognize the presence of Honorable Benito Owusu Biu, Deputy Minister Designate for Lands and Natural Resources, MP. And again, the Honorable Deputy Minister Designate for Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable George Miracle Duka. I would also like to acknowledge the presence of the former Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, former Minister of Tourism and Creative Arts, the Honorable Member of Parliament for Prisia, Winnie Valley, Honorable Barbara Otin Jesse. I recognize the presence of the Mayor of the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly, Honorable Osei Asibe Enchi. Otumfo amahina moa nyina so Emobia Akwaba. Nananom Edamasipi. I'd like to invite the Honorable Ashanti Regional Minister, Honorable Simon Osei Mensah, to give us the welcome address.
Thank you very much, my brother Kwame. Your Royal Majesty, Otumfuo Osei Tutu II, the Honorable Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Samuel Abujinapo, the Honorable Minister for Environment, Dr. Kwaku Afriye, the Vice Chancellor of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Professor Rita Akosia-Dixon, my colleague, regional ministers, and other ministers of state here present, members, the chairman, ranking members, and members of the Committee on Lands and Natural Resources, Energy and Mines and Environment, honorable deputy ministers here present, members of parliament,
yes, please,
the metro, municipal and district chief executives, Nananom, members of the Regional Security Council, political parties, religious leaders, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Thus, with a singular honor, that I take this opportunity to welcome all of you to the Great Hall of Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Kumasi, the Ashanti region. And also to welcome you to the first regional consultative dialogue on small-scale mining here in Kumasi. Actually, the fight against illegal mining is core to the foundation of our livelihood, in the sense that illegal mining is destroying our lands, our forests, our water bodies, which we need for our human sustenance. The destruction of our farmlands affects food security in this country. Also, the destruction of our water bodies has disastrous consequences on this country. So I pray that all of us, as stakeholders, and it's a collective responsibility for all of us to ensure that we succeed in this fight. My colleague government appointees, we have to lead the fight. And I think any government appointee who is found engaging in illegal mining must be dealt with the highest level of sanctions. We cannot go against the principles of the president, and we cannot go against the policies of the president, and we cannot go against the policies of our own government. It's time we name and shame. If Osei Mensah is found in the practice of illegal mining, he should be named and shamed. If we take the lead, I'm sure we will definitely succeed in the fight against illegal mining. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, I take this opportunity to welcome all of you to the first regional consultative dialogue on small-scale mining here in Kumasi. Thank you very much. I'm very grateful to you all. Thanks.
We are more grateful, Honorable Ashanti Regional Minister, Honorable Simon Osei Mensah, for that warm welcome address. Now we are discussing the issue of mining not having in mind politics. And this is a non-partisan dialogue that we are going to engage ourselves in this morning. And I'd like to recognize the presence of the former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, former Minister for Water Resources, Works and Housing, the MP for Ashanti South, Honorable Collins Dauda, here with us. Honorable Collins Dauda. Another round of applause. Say, Honorable Collins Dauda Wahadia. I go for my Mr. Mofakiti and from Kakra. Now on Kanichi. Shall we enjoy a cultural display? And next, ya cheer choir for Swa, ya say assassin, and in Yama Ekoso, way a play Kakra, a kai, babia, ya babadru, and none of pay. A big round of applause. Police in Wanye. Anyo. No. As I'm going to try. Anna, okay. How do you call her? Na aso ya for no anhye excavator and how many here for how many excavators. Another round of applause for that sketch. Very concise, very deep, and it tells a story of what happens in our mining areas where we are destroying our lands and our river bodies. Very pathetic, and that's the reason we are here today, to find lasting solution on the proper way and sustainable way of mining and protecting our environment. Your Majesty, I would like to invite the Sector Minister for Lands and Forestry, Honorable Abu Jinapo.
Your Majesty Otumfuo Asante, Honorable Ashanti Regional Minister, Honorable Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Madam Vice Chancellor, Honorable Regional Ministers from the Bono East and Ahafo, Honorable Ministers of State, former Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, the Honorable Collins Dauda, Honorable Members of Parliament, present and past, leadership of Parliament Select Committees on Lands, Forestry, Environment and Mining, Honorable Municipal and District Chief Executives, Presidents and members of Regional Houses of Chiefs, Nananom, representatives of political parties, captains of the mining industry, representatives of ministries and government agencies, members of the civil society organizations, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, I must at the outset express my sincere appreciation to the highly revered Asantehene, His Majesty Otumfuo Osei-Tutu II, for accepting the invitation of government through the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources to deliver the keynote address and open the second National Consultative Dialogue on small-scale mining. Nana Asantehene, your presence at this forum provides us, and me in particular, with the moral fortitude in the ongoing crusade to sanitize this all-important sector, and we are grateful for this patriotic gesture. Otumfuo Nana Asantehene, Ghana Dawasi. This is the second such consultation being held on small-scale mining, the second term of the government of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And I'm delighted that it is being held at the Great Hall of the best university in Ghana, my alma mater, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. In this very hall, sometime in 2002, when I had the honor and privilege to first meet my father, Otumfuo Asantehene. Otumfuo Asantehene, distinguished guests, you will recall that following the call by the President of the Republic for a national dialogue on small-scale mining, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources successfully held a maiden national consultative dialogue from 14th to 15th April 2021 in Accra. The key resolutions of the national dialogue, captured in a final communique dated 15th April 2021, called for a broad-based, non-partisan and national consensus around a national policy on small-scale mining that promotes a responsible, viable, and environmentally sustainable industry, which has discarded illegalities and practices which compromise the environment and ecosystem of our country, and resolved that dealing with Galamsey is a national emergency which required urgent and concerted efforts. It therefore called on all political parties, our revered traditional authorities, all stakeholder groups, and all individuals to join the development and execution of a national, non-partisan, and broad-based agenda to rid ourselves of the long-standing issue of illegal small-scale mining, and to implement measures to eradicate it out of our society. Arising out of the consultation, government has begun implementing far-reaching policies to bring sanity into this industry, including but not limited to: 1, a freeze on the issuance of forest entry permits by the Forestry Commission for purposes of mining. 2, a suspension of all prospecting, recognizance, and/or exploration activities in all forest reserves. 3, the designation of forest reserves and water bodies as red zones. 4, decentralization of the enforcement mechanism, which now has the various regional security councils at the forefront of our enforcement efforts. 5, decentralization of the licensing regime, which will now have chiefs and traditional authorities actively involved. And 6, the commencement of a specific military operation, dubbed, quote, Operation Halt, end quote, to raid the red zones, that is, our forest reserves and water bodies of illegal mining activities. Distinguished guests, I am happy to report to Ashanti Man that these measures are beginning to yield modest results, and we intend to enhance and perfect them. Refreshingly, reports are that some rivers are beginning to recover. However, we must be candid in admitting that these renewed efforts will not be enough. We require the collective efforts of the nation. Respectfully, Nana Asante, political leaders, policy makers, security personnel, judges, traditional rulers, religious leaders, professional entities, stakeholders in the mining industry, and I dare say citizens have a huge role to play. We still have a long way to go. Undoubtedly, this industry, like that of the illicit drug trade, has so many tentacles with all kinds of people involved. All kinds of methods, some overt and others covert, are employed. It has a tendency to corrupt all kinds of people and institutions. But this is about the preservation of our environment and ecosystem. It is about the welfare of generations unborn. It is about the survival of our country. It is, without a shred of equivocation, about Ghana. The resolve of President Akufo-Addo is total and unflinching, and we cannot afford to waver at any stage of the ongoing crusade. Distinguished guests, humbly, I will want to submit strongly my view on the ongoing debate on the decommissioning and demobilization of excavators used for mining. When a country is confronted with extraordinary problems, extraordinary measures ought to be deployed. The use of excavators for mining on our river bodies is an extraordinary problem, which requires extraordinary measures to deal with it. Your Majesty Nana Asante, Honorable Ashanti Regional Minister, colleague Ministers of State, leadership of Parliament, presidents of regional houses of chiefs, Nananom, Madam Vice Chancellor, distinguished guests, on behalf of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and myself, I reiterate our unwavering commitment to get on with this national crusade without fear or favor, blind to partisan political coloration, blind to status in society, and with an absolute dedication steeped in the higher sense of integrity. Together and with God on our side, we must and will preserve our environment. May God bless us all, and I thank you.
Another round of applause for the Sector Minister, Honorable Samuel Abu Jinapo, Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. And I remember vividly the first time that he met His Majesty Otumfuo Osei II, and that delegation was led by Engineer Nana Upuku Ajiman, also here. They were all students. I remember that. So, Honorable, thank you very much. And indeed, you are precise on the issue that there's a way forward, and that commitment should be generated in our hearts. And we believe that when we put our strength on that, we will achieve something sustainable for this country. At this point in time, I'd like to invite Akusika from Poma. Akwada na no atie na obube na okanwen sem a akono Yɛmfa nsambɔ nhyia Aku Sika.
Opem so na say to a baby a wote krare ne brare ngoma so. Amai no mumpenimfo. Nananom atena konya. Eku ni ne nintina yehyia mu ha. Ghana de shema. Me mamu nyina amachi o. Mediane nana Aku Sika frempama. Se na mijina ha. Na me bekasa afa galamsey ho. Hey, asembe na si se chire jamasi ametu mpanya chene dawurum penten to wasepre wa prempensu wa na ya. Nananom any attack kokowa. Opem so na say to wa baby o. Osi brekete eti brekese oti prukusu. Bema ba idini jina kasampre be poso to boponto penkro. Bema ba idini jina kasampre be poso. Atu boponto penkro mo boponda na so cross mama sanchi akumejidie. Wa mane homne so. Wa sore waka. Ose debi. Nananom ntiamu adru nanim. Wantena se enye nhyehan, emmenchirima, enkyere won techere mangun so. Wanya nhyehan, emmenchirima, emfa ne nyatwa pia ntiana no. Efri se wono de. Oye penye na wantena fie ma asefu amfo. Oye penye na wantena fie ntia banso sem. Oye penye na wantena fie. Enye nhyehan mankoda anye nanka ne nkampese abuna kan nankarefo. Wono ene ye apupu to prampatu a wachare dampom afo mumfumfra tre. Wano ene ye kan se oye bema ba o yukuo piesi asante mewura kotoko hene. Wase onye nhyehan every se Ghana yenyina yadia galamse essay on minor assase galamse hired she enkobi nkukuru pantino emmone kehire nsuwa ne ma galamse nti she emmofra sikape entemunti ye jai suku atu ho edi galamse echi enye ya ne yasem mofra ya ne yanda ache emmofra ni ye nani daso reina opem so na say tutu abebi obema ba siketa yentumi mfa abohema bia antoto ne ho entesuntesu a eyiri boma bema nyansabu akwa nyansabu nkama kenta ne so ase debi da wasere waka efise mmofra yi ene yendache yede mmofra yi na ebechichiri kroi na se yenyina yeto ye nikodi sika echi a na Ghana ebesiden afa ne ntoma pefra ekuafo nso usu ekuafo osu omse galamse esse ye nuane galamse esse ye nsase yenya nuane o na se wokuani nya aduane a besiden sen ene techrema edika subom wei ana asante hene opem so na se titu abebi o se debi min kama nuntum efisa feduane na ede na enye men komeyem mesore waka ama me man Ghana empanyine so ne kaye yese oche hene anase oche de hye konkron ontena bremu ho emfantesuo enwohro ne nsa eno enema otumfuo eno so na ma ye president on man panyine na nado danko akufo ado ese debi na se yese brema besiden impo intesuo no kredi ahohro yensa wono so se Ghana ba ensa dansa yem kotojo gufom moma yenjai galamse ya papa jina ponso se moma yenyina yenjai galamse na Ghana emfa ne ntoma pemfra ewom se Ghana yenyina ye ya hyemfra wo bia du ye mu ahyemfre enso abo patu prese owo ho anima na yemani de yenim munsusuma yenya nhyehan ema kwesi kokko embeje ye na sasemboso emfa nkwaye ne maiye na se Ghana ba mini wumienu ehe na ye kwotena Ghana ba yenyina yemfa komapa entai opem so na say titu abebi echi na Ghana ntimi enkoso na Ghana fa ne ntoma pemfra enkakra na akokodi no munsuo de na nso mpanyini se kukuo munsa ye kaye triboma ebema krono ayekese edi amoma yensare waka entu galamse ase Ghana baako Ghana yebeko ejina amayaman manuesi medamwase.
Aku Sika from Poma is now a student at the University of Ghana, Legon. Always cheerful, always adorable, a student at the University of Ghana, Legon, Aku Sika from Poma. Thank you very much for that warm poetry. Thank you so much. Over the last 4 years, Government of Ghana, under the leadership of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has invested huge resources, political and socio-economic capital to arrest the disastrous effects of small-scale mining. And today, we are here to continue this story. I'd like to recognize the presence of Honorable Rashid Pepo. If you are here, Honorable Rashid Pepo, thank you very much. And of course, all the members of the Regional Security Councils would like to acknowledge your presence here. We thank you so much for being here. The military, okay, the police, and of course the customs, immigration, and all the members of the Regional Security Council. In fact, your chairman is also here, Honorable Simon Osei Mensah. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, time for the keynote address. And the keynote address will be presented to us by His Majesty Otumfuo Osei Tutu II. A round of applause. What's it? Okay. Okay.
Wasaji fogunya gwasio kwasantinadie kasangen.
Kwatakwaine kase kwabiaine kasangen.
Kwatakwaine kase kwabiaine kasangen.
Mema kwabia irifiango mane kotokungen.
Mema kwabia irifiango mane kotokungen.
Asante chanjochmo champoni fungen.
Asante chanjochmo champoni fungen.
Asante sesebo smanditien.
Asante sesebo smanditien.
Kwabia santinadie kasangen.
Kwabia santinadie kasangen.
Sati chemi modi miavisio.
Sati chemi modi miavisio.
Waine benya sajuso supaini ni akaba kuma sika pobano.
Waine benya sajuso supaini ni akaba kuma sika pobano.
Obinya se bianko be.
Obinya se bianko be.
Amen wa te di feba dem le fe kasangen.
Amen wa te di feba dem le fe kasangen.
Sewane tofu moje nungen.
Sewane tofu moje nungen.
Adofru dade chmo champon frungen.
Adofru dade chmo champon frungen.
O so ni kroyo smendite.
O so ni kroyo smendite.
Aja kwa jare na dia se dingen.
Aja kwa jare na dia se dingen.
Akusibio kumro chmo champon frungen.
Akusibio kumro chmo champon frungen.
Aja kwa free say frampo demni favisi.
Aja kwa free say frampo demni favisi.
Se tutu mi mo di nyavisio.
Se tutu mi mo di nyavisio.
Why ne benya sekantin chebu achi dan kwane se awampim sika pobano.
Why ne benya sekantin chebu achi dan kwane se awampim sika pobano.
Obinya se bianko be.
Obinya se bianko be.
Rago bakana ne frampo demni favisi.
Rago bakana ne frampo demni favisi.
Me manja bindo da kwa iya dungen.
Me manja bindo da kwa iya dungen.
Ya dam na ne adia ko bojo ta touchmo champon fungen.
Ya dam na adia ko bojo ta touchmo champon fungen.
Otosika sama na jijakungen.
Otosika sama na jijakungen.
Ajaku baba ko nyum flower.
Ajaku baba ko nyum flower.
Sai ina flower frampo demni fao.
Ina flower frampo demni fao.
Wasaji fogunya gwasingen.
Wasaji fogunya gwasingen.
Okwasantina dwe kasangen.
Okwasantina dwe kasangen.
Wokru da to baba demni fa kunya gwasi ajumna chemera.
Answer and making kind, Master Mabekano. Before I read my speech, I can't send baby and be here. And Regional Minister Ne Meba Dina Pomba and almost say, Nanepa Choya can't dear walk ratano, so Messama Presso Mecana. And this are no news be a mechanism Fufrobia, Air Dinkakra. As I said, no crane me catch almost say, Galam say, I can, and I damn have me chimu, ye chimu, send me a year, you are nature me and son. A mobile 30% in Moma Galam say, Nina. Yanni to them, hey. See a G and watching ya, ye chimu, move back 30% and not any Moma Galam say. Now, young Kano Crenoa, you better die and why a bear conference ya beha. Say, Metea, Oma Bayer Galamsa day. Back was in an money chas as in a mile. What can we name her? No more kind, and never out to be our chas as you are the Galamsa. I was off while Ubran who for why a bonnet. Uko Chrome Nessa and Passodia as I say, I must say, and Yagalam say now to her. Now he be na wood ye. Eh, Bonnie. And he, Mummy and Vie. And Ramuka, some mamma come, make us a become a cancer be black of fast, my benty, Major and my. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I believe strongly that everybody has been recognized, therefore I don't need to go through that. I'm pleased to be here to deliver the keynote address to formally open the second National Consultative Dialogue on small-scale mining. The maiden one having been opened in Accra last month by His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Honorable Minister, Nananom Vice Chancellor, our host, at the onset, let me assert that mining is older than Ghana and has been for centuries one of the main pillars of ancient economies and kingdoms such as my own Ashanti mine. Gold continues to be a major heritage of Ashanti mine, and it is therefore appropriate to hold the second consultative dialogue on small-scale mining in Kumasi. I commend my son, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Samuel Abujinapo, for his eagerness and ardent interest in pursuit of the goals of the ministry. Without doubt, this young man has shown passion and commitment to sanitize this sector. We have to give him maximum support to ensure he succeeds in this undertaking. I say this because I know he would have opposition, even from his own party. Honorable Minister, since this dialogue, which provides a forum for openly discussing how to streamline and rein in what has predominantly become an illegal activity, notwithstanding its potential for great good, I will share some thoughts on mining and its topical subsector of small-scale mining in the context of our development process. Small-scale mining is legal under the regulatory framework of Ghana and has grown over the years to the point where, as at the end of 2019, I'm told it is estimated to have contributed at least 40% or more of Ghana's total gold production each year. The small-scale sector serves as a source of employment for some of the youth in mining communities across the country, and the evidence further indicates that a significant number of such youth migrate from other parts of the country to peddle in the activity. However, the small-scale mining sector is fraught with quite a number of challenges given the thin line between it and illegal mining, popularly known as galamsey. These challenges, which are severely impacting the socio-economic situation in Ghana, include degradation of lands and forests, thereby creating significant environmental liabilities, pollution of rivers and water bodies, use of mercury in processing the ore for gold, thereby creating public health and safety concerns, given its carcinogenic nature. Conflict between illegal miners and large-scale mining companies. Example, attacks on security personnel of mining companies as well as the police. Encroachment on the concessions of large-scale mines, thereby reducing their mineral reserves and associated mine life. National security and public safety risks, given that some illegal miners are armed and sometimes utilize illegally acquired explosives in their activities. Gold produced from the illegal mining sector typically does not go through formal channels, for which reason the government earns no royalties and taxes from them. Clearly, Galamsey, as illegal mining is referred to, is unsustainable, unacceptable, and must be stopped. Myself and Ashanti men are palpably opposed to anything which destroys our environment and ecosystem, thereby posing an existential threat to the survival of our communities. The theme, sustainable small-scale mining for national development, is therefore very appropriate and all-inclusive enough to bring all of us, from all shades of political power, social and economic status, who want the transformation of the small-scale mining sector from just a potential to actual positive catalyst for development. And I'm glad I've seen my son Collins Dada, and then Dr. Pepo, and all the people here all contributing to this dialogue. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, with our nation having been blessed with so many minerals, it is not surprising that mining has always played an important role in our lives, where our minerals have been the attraction for many adventurers and fortune seekers for centuries. Mining has been an important undertaking throughout the history of mankind, being a necessity to our very existence. Not just an indulgence to satisfy our thirsts or our curiosity. Everyday life is dependent on the minerals extracted from underneath the earth. Today, beyond the adornments of Nananum, and which properly so distinguish them as the custodians of our cultural setting, most of the other things that we use, ranging from the smartphones we own to the coins we spend, and the wires that carry the electricity we consume, emanate from metals that have been mined. The mining industry of our country plays a critical role in our economy, providing considerable job opportunities, directly or indirectly. But we now need to look beyond the contribution of the mining sector, mainly in terms of fiscal benefits to the economy. Optimally integrating the sector with the rest of the economy would catalyze Ghana into accelerated economic development through opening avenues for adding value to the minerals extracted, creating feedstock for the agricultural, industrial, and services sectors, and therefore enhancing the local content of the industry, as well as developing and expanding usage of shared infrastructure across sectors. I expect government to facilitate this process with industry players and other stakeholders taking a cue supporting this development over the ensuing years. And this, I also want my university to be involved. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I will be the first, noting the bequeathal of our forebears, to uphold the rightful place of small-scale mining, which is done properly and responsibly within the legal framework. Very importantly, it should be designed to address the needs of mining communities and enhance their benefits therefrom. It is my expectation that the community's interest would indeed be the key focus and not some other interests. The focus for this Consultative Forum is on small-scale mining. The small-scale mining subsector has the potential to contribute to livelihood, empowerment, and the poverty alleviation of people in our local communities and beyond. However, in recent times, we have all witnessed the unprecedented destruction of arable land for agriculture, forest reserves and our water bodies through illegal mining activities using sophisticated equipment and machinery, often in partnership with foreign nationals and criminal syndicates who have no interest in our development. Often, the structure and operations of the sector are more complex than meets the eye. The president on his own, and indeed government alone, cannot fight and win this war. It should be an all-hands-on-deck initiative with all stakeholders, all of us, playing our part. It is in this light that I support the call of the president through his parliamentary address on 4 January 2021 for a broad-based national engagement on managing the sector. And I'm happy to hear that the maiden national dialogue in Accra during 14th and 15th April was very successful, reiterating the key factors that need to be taken on board. It is crystal clear that weak and inadequate enforcement of laws governing mining was identified as one of the key gaps that need to be addressed to turn the fortunes of the subsector around. This falls squarely on the lap of the government, and I'm happy that my son, the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, has assured me that he, with the support of his colleague ministers, MPs across the political divide, public and civil servants will lead the crusade to right this wrong. Wrong is wrong, irrespective of who commits it. And right is right, irrespective of the personalities involved. The illegal mining situation is clearly complex and requires a carefully thought-through, multi-stakeholder approach if Ghana is to succeed in bringing it under control. The following are some proposals that could be considered in this effort. Exploration. The gold mining process starts with investment in exploration so as to delineate the mineral resource. However, most small-scale and illegal miners do have the funding to invest in such a process and would often encroach on the concessions of large-scale mines in conducting their mining activities. To address this, I propose that a special fund to be set up to cover the needed investments in exploration activities along the gold belts of the country, so as to better define such mineral resources and also identify new areas for purpose of mining. The Minerals Commission, in conjunction with the Geological Survey Authority, should identify and ring-fence land banks within the mining districts of the country exclusively for small-scale mining purposes. This should hopefully reduce the current competition between large-scale and small-scale miners for mineralized real estate. The capacities of the Minerals Commission and the Environmental Protection Agency should be urgently enhanced and adequate resources provided to enable them effectively regularize and regulate the activities of small-scale miners to ensure compliance with regulatory requirements as well as responsible mining practices. In this regard, with the exception of properly designed alluvial mining operations, mining near rivers and water bodies should be banned. Secondly, in accordance with the Minamata Convention, to which Ghana is a signatory, the use of mercury for gold processing should be banned given its toxicity to human health and the environment. This should then be replaced with training and capacity building for small-scale miners on less dangerous means of gold recovery. Personal safety and sound environmental practices should be critical aspects of small-scale mining going forward. As is the situation for large-scale mines, reclamation and rehabilitation of mined-out areas should be a key aspect of small-scale mining operations, and renewal of such licenses should be contingent on effective land reclamation. This is to ensure that the environmental degradation recorded to date is contained while efforts are made to address the liability of the medium to long-term issues. District assemblies, through their district mining committees, have an important role to play in ensuring effective monitoring of small-scale mining activities in the country. To this end, DCEs as chairpersons of district security councils should be held directly responsible for situations of illegal mining within their respective districts. They should ensure that, in collaboration with the regulatory authorities, small-scale mining is effectively monitored so it is done in compliance with the required practices and regulatory framework. And then illegal miners also can be stopped.
Sure.
Large-scale mines should work with NGOs and other relevant organizations in rolling out alternative livelihoods programs within the mining communities in which they operate.
Sure.
This should be coupled with awareness creation on the negative impacts of illegal mining as well as its unsustainable nature.
Sure.
Such interventions should reduce the number of young people who engage in illegal mining by giving them safer means of livelihood, for example, vocational skills.
Sure.
On my part, I have already warned my chiefs and elders against participation in such illegalities and will not hesitate to strongly sanction any such infraction.
Sure.
Already I've had reports about some things happening in Amansia and the Fomna area, and I'll be investigating that to see what's happening.
Sure.
The need to actively involve traditional authorities in this effort is absolutely imperative, for they continue to be the custodians of our communities across the country.
Sure.
We should go beyond paying lip service to traditional authorities as custodians of our communal land and seriously and actively engage them in this collective crusade. For example, the current system, whereby licenses for concessions are given out before consulting traditional authorities, is dysfunctional and must be revised.
Sure.
It is my considered view that it will be most prudent to consult traditional authorities before licenses for concessions are given out.
Sure.
Does it not make a mockery when the Constitution says the minerals under the president is in charge of the minerals on the earth? But when you're going to mine the mineral, you go through the land that belongs to the chief.
Sure.
So why doesn't he have a right to know who is doing that?
Sure.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I urge all stakeholders to commit to upholding this tenet of equity by supporting where you have to, putting pressure where you have to, monitoring and taking action where you have to, if we are to make headway in winning the fight against illegal mining and making small-scale mining a true instrument of sustainable national development.
Sure.
Legal small-scale miners should be engaged in the discussions on the search for solutions to the challenges posed by illegal miners.
Sure.
Mr. Minister, you need to engage them. They know them.
Sure.
If you ask the small-scale miners, they know the illegal miners.
Sure.
Sit them down, get the Minerals Commission to give you a list of all the registered small-scale miners.
Sure.
Let us do a comprehensive search over there.
Sure.
And get the security and others to map out where they are. All others outside this are illegal miners, and therefore we can arrest them.
Sure.
Greed, dishonesty, and hypocrisy ought to be jettisoned in this crusade. We require bold, honest, and frontal leadership in this sector.
Sure.
Honorable Minister, I expect that in this respect, the deliberations of this consultative forum will frankly discuss, explore, and reinforce the best ways to control illegal mining activities while promoting and supporting legitimate and responsible mining in Ghana.
Sure.
I wish you a successful dialogue, and you can continue to count on my support and that of Ashanti Mine.
Sure.
And now formally open the second National Consultative Dialogue on Small-Scale Mining. I thank you for your attention.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah. Another resounding applause for the king. Your Majesty, we are always enriched by your wisdom, by your courage, truthness, and that deep sense of commitment for national development. Your Majesty, we are grateful for that wisdom. Thank you very much, Apia Stadium and all the senior colleagues here. Well, thank you. Your Majesty, we take this as a pledge to mine responsibly and, of course, to protect our environment. Now, Jumandi, no, send a mechanic. Yo afanu yo mienu na niedika ye de ba wia anon na iwia we de ebesre na one minister eni afi vice chancellor na ya exhibition kakra e wo chiro various agencies and the departments and the ministries ni na no ahihye enema e fa mining ho kwanfoforo a ebetimi atu anamo a yina yani ebeso enti na wode wadama ifri ha obeko na wakokohwe bi yedi ngomo kakra na ya ka nso ye betena se na yeso ohini edware na nso asa enti okowie a ne aka no afia na ye betredi pa ye first moderator ebe Honorable Collins Dauda ono ade betena dwom na ye de no adi nkobo na ohwe Honorable Collins Dauda because maybe I'll call vetting now you didn't call lands and forestry and the ye bisa no komo a fa chainsaw a timber chainsaw na kwan of fa so ehihye no and a member of parliament group ebisa and say what to be done I say now call also na me call so that be send the usikasa ne o say what to be da sans example na wo de mani nyina no direct nti ene Honorable Collins Dauda obetra dwom na yadi nkowo ye fa sambo kase e ma Honorable Collins Dauda. I'd like to invite the regional chief imam Sheikh Abdul Mumin Harun to give us a closing prayer. Shall we welcome the regional chief imam Sheikh Abdul Mumin Harun.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله يدوني أنكوبون أسي سوابوا يجنا نوها ينا نوها نكرا مباني نمي وهنا كرا مرانمي نافس مياه سما Ashanti regional chief imam enti mina na bekasa wosumunyai na mobe amonye ne papa so yes we dem pa bota na chi ye be bompa ya mano sa kopemra mu be jagalam se no when busa obi now the guy ne galam say was obi na kan say guy let them say and okay galam say enti ye be bompa ni sa munya ska no kra be bompa ska no be she Nanim say Sika no Monu say obi omotiska ko omote ho. Ye bompa e small so omo ko yiska mba ko gigi. Na mo amoye no kwan so no de Scan betna. Te doyan kopa sisa sitina ya tonight. Empire by Bible boy. Ye de kata sa galamse no so se embabio. Enam se enani da onyan kopa no pa. Ye de chiriano e kwa wie. Enti empire boy ye bono. Chiriano ma galamse no kwa wie. Nenya sitina fa. Enti اللهم يسر لنا أمورنا مع أرات قلوبنا وأبداننا والسلامة والعافية في ديننا ودنيانا وآخرتنا إنك على كل شيء قدير. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من الغلامسي. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من الغلامسي. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من الغلامسي. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
Thank you very much. The regional chief imam. Ramadan Karim. Okay. Now, before His Majesty take leave of us, I'd like to recognize the presence of lawyer Gabi Asari Ochri Dakon. Gabi for short. Yeah, with us. Accompanied by the wife, Mrs. Asari Ochri Dakon. A round of applause for lawyer Gabi Asari Ochri Dakon. Your Majesty, we would like to say a big thank you for all the things that you've done to us. How you've been able to cultivate our brain and how you've been able to encourage us to continue with the dialogue on mind. We thank you so much, and we'd like to say a big thank you to the Honorable Minister. I thought I was the only one who was given that fiat to stick to the script, not knowing that, Honorable, you have that capacity to even command the king to stick to the script. Honorable, that was wonderful. The Honorable Ashanti Regional Minister, always fantastic and affable. We thank you so much, Honorable Kokwe-Friye. We thank you so much. And of course, the Vice Chancellor of the greatest university in Africa. Prof, we thank you very much. Now, Otumfo will rise and visit our exhibition stands. So shall we all rise as the king moves to the exhibition center. We thank you very much, but we will continue for the second part.